Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I look older than I feel? My face is changing, my eyes are dropping, my jowls are showing, my wrinkles are more visible, and my skin looks dull. If you have, you are not alone. Let me tell you who I am, what's my story, and why I started this channel. Hi, my name is Tana. I grew up in Colombia, and I'm the daughter of the first generation of women in my family who were allowed to attend university. Education was everything in our home. Growing up, I also watched all these newly educated women around me carrying two things at once, often considered opposites or contradictory: intelligence and beauty. And for women back then, it was like almost a choice between being taken seriously and taking care for how they look. And I think that shaped decisions that I actually made along the way. Colombia is also a country where beauty is really a part of the culture. And I was lucky that when I was 18, I got the opportunity to become a beauty queen. And this fulfilled a childhood dream of becoming a model. And really, this is where my journey with beauty began. As a Colombian beauty queen, I had the privilege of being trained by incredible experts, photographers, makeup artists, industry professionals who had spent years mastering their craft. And I remember how intimidating that really felt at first. Every detail mattered. The way that you walked, the way that you held your posture, the way that you spoke, the way that you look at the camera. It really felt like they were always looking straight through you. And underneath of all that, the real lesson really didn't have to do much with appearances. They all taught me something that I have not forgotten. And it's that beauty was not just about how you look or how you look in a photo. The beauty goes inside and is much deeper than that. Beauty is about taking care of your skin, taking care of your body, taking care of yourself, looking after your health, looking after your mindset, eating well, and understanding that even long after the crown is gone, your image is something that you should carry with pride for the rest of your life. Now, after that, I did spend several years modeling for well-known brands. I work across magazines, beauty campaigns, fashion events, fashion parades, catalogs, and television commercials. And I love it. But what I loved the most wasn't just standing in front of a camera or being in the middle of the show. I love representing a brand. It's bringing its personality to life. And it was almost like acting. Every pose, every expression, every outfit, they help tell a story. And I became fascinated by something else. It was not just the brand itself, but it was how those brands were built. Because every color, every fabric, every photography, every ad, every person within the ad, they all work together consistently to create something bigger than just an image. Bringing emotions to people, it was transmitting feelings, it was telling a story. And after kind of looking at all this happening, I wanted to be the person building those brands, building those images. So now looking back now, I see how all those years shaped everything that came after. The discipline showing up prepared, the understanding that consistency matters more than a single great day, and the realization that beauty at its best is not just vanity, it is self-respect. And I also learned how to handle rejection. Because in that industry, it comes constantly, believe me. You audition and you don't get picked. And you audition again and you don't get picked. And you go to the next casting. And you just keep going and show up again to the next one every day, every week. While I was finishing my degree in communications, I already knew where I wanted to go. I wanted to build brands, surprise. And it took a couple years to land my first real opportunity in advertising. But in the meantime, I kept modeling, which I genuinely love. I eventually made it into the advertising industry, and I had the the opportunity to work at some of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. And for several years, I did help bring those strategies and campaigns to life. Those early years taught me how the industry works, how the behind the scenes happen, the pitches, the late nights before a big presentation, the pressure of a client, media deadlines, the specs, the new technologies. And I had to learn to think fast, to communicate clearly, and to stay calm when a campaign was not landing so well. And over time, I realized something. I just didn't want to continue to execute someone else's strategy, and I wanted to build that strategy myself. And that's when I moved into what we call the client side. I moved into marketing. I just became obsessed with one principle. Every decision should be backed by evidence, not opinions, not trends, not guesses, data. All of it should be measured, tested, and continuously improved. That philosophy shaped my entire career from that point. Over the following 20 years, I just kept learning. I completed 2 master's degrees, and I work across not only advertising agencies, but large organizations and associations and multiple startups. And I learned that the best campaigns, they came from a small, consistent improvement. And eventually, I reached what they call the top job in the profession, and I became a Chief Marketing Officer. By the time I reached this CMO title, I felt like I had proven something to myself. That girl from Colombia with an accent, who once stood on a stage on heels, could also stand in a boardroom and hold her own with the toughest, most data-driven executives. And I was proud of what I had built. And I assume the way that most of us do, that the hard part was just behind me. The corporate world can be really unforgiving. And no matter how senior you become, the budgets will get cut, the priorities will shift overnight, and restructures happen. And then something happened that I just didn't see it coming. And that is that despite being a top performer and hitting all my targets, I was made redundant. And not once, not twice, and not 3 times, 4 times. And each time I was told that I had done a fantastic job. Each time it really had nothing to do with my performance. Each time I told myself the same thing, that I could use that little break to finally slow down, to focus on my health, and to put myself first for once. And each time, within just a few weeks, I was back in the job hunt, polishing my resume, preparing for interviews, and just putting everything I had into convincing someone else that I was worth investing in. And all these events, they really affected my confidence. Because eventually, you start asking yourself, if I am doing everything right, if I am a top performer, if I am hitting all my targets, why does this keep happening to me? My friends will tell me, oh, it was just bad luck, it was the wrong place, it was the wrong time, it's probably not personal. And rationally, I knew that was true because I was performing really well in all these jobs. But my confidence doesn't always listen to logic. And each time, I built a little bit more slowly and scared than the previous one. During those years, I tried to take care of myself, but I was so stressed about my job, about my career, that I just let the long hours, the stress, the late nights, the constant pressure of proving myself again and again, that they were more important, and I left myself really abandoned. And I wasn't really taking care of myself the way that I really should. And one day I look in the mirror and I realized that I didn't quite recognize that woman looking back at me. My skin looked different. It was drier, it was duller. My hair was turning gray faster than I expected. And my face had changed in ways that I couldn't quite put into words. I just couldn't understand it. How the hell did this happen? I just feel it. And it wasn't just my skin, and it wasn't just my face. I just felt tired. And it's not something that you could repair with the sleep. My energy was not the same. I think at some point I started kind of accepting that I was getting older, and I just put on with it. And And I didn't really thought, well, I actually should be doing something about this. I had to realize something uncomfortable, that is that I spent years building companies and someone else's business, growing brands, helping them succeed. Somewhere along the way, I just didn't invest that same energy that I had put in my career into myself. My career was my #1 priority, and I left myself down. Now, if you have also looked in the mirror at some point and thought that you don't quite recognize the person looking back at you in the mirror, please let me know in the comments below. I genuinely would love to know if I am not alone, and that there is someone else out there that feels that way, that is not recognizing themselves anymore. For me, it's a strange, just kind of grief. Looking at your own reflection and feeling like a stranger, not because anything dramatic happened overnight, thankfully, but because so many small things had been neglected for so long that they finally added up to something that you cannot just ignore anymore. And that mirror moment is really what became the turning point. Not because it was dramatic, not because it was bad necessarily, but because it was honest. And once I saw it clearly, I just couldn't unsee it anymore. And that's when I made that decision, that if I was going to reinvent my career, I was also going to have to reinvent myself. And that's literally what brought me here with you today. I decided to apply the same approach that I used through my entire career, using research and science and evidence and testing and continuous improvement to improve myself, to get myself back on track. And I don't believe in miracle products, and I'm a marketer, but I don't believe in the marketing hype. I really believe in understanding the science, learning from the experts, looking at the evidence, testing, and then figuring out what actually works. And then investing in quality, not only because the price tag is higher, but because the research shows that it is. And I am not a dermatologist, and I will always tell you when something is outside my expertise. And I am someone who has spent 20 years building strategies on evidence instead of guesswork. And I'm going to apply that discipline to my skin, my health, and my body for this next chapter of my life. And I hope that when we look at my following videos, we can gradually see improvement of how I look, how I feel, and how confident I become again. Because I know that aging is inevitable, but giving up in yourself is not. And I am not opposed to aging, but I want to age well, and I want to look in the mirror and feel proud of that woman looking back at me. I want to feel healthy, strong, confident, and beautiful. And by the way, if you're still listening after all this, I'm guessing that maybe you're a little bit curious, or you also want that. I'm not going to pretend that this is going to be a straight line. And it's going to be an honest and transparent approach, which I think is more useful than pretending that I have everything figured out. So if you're a woman over 40, watching the way your skin, your body, and your face are changing, and you're wondering what's actually worth your time, your money, and your energy, you are exactly who I am making these videos for. And I will share with you what's working for me, what is not, and what the research is saying. I won't be an expert lecturing you. I think this is going to be more like having a friend that's honest to walk you through this journey. I am going to be figuring this out in real time in my late 40s, right alongside you with you. Before we finish, I would love to hear from you. This channel is brand new, and I want to make videos that are genuinely useful for you. If there is a skincare topic, a treatment, an ingredient, or a question that you always wanted someone to explain properly, please leave me a comment below. I will read every single one of them. And your comments, your ideas will help me shape what I'm going to make next. Now, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It will really help this channel, and it will tell me that you like to see more content like this one. And if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe. Here, we will be exploring science-backed skincare, health, fitness, healthy aging strategies. We are building a community of women who want to look good, feel good, and thrive. Not because we are chasing perfection, maybe some of us are, but because we are worth investing in. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. I really, really appreciate it. Now, in the next video, we're starting with some of the biggest mistakes I made in skincare, what they cost me, and how I fixed those that I could fix. See you there.